It feels like artificial intelligence is just everywhere, right? It's helping out doctors, it's in our cars, it's even writing computer code. But, as this tech gets smarter and weaves itself into pretty much everything we do, it brings up a huge question. How do we actually build a moral code for AI? How do we make sure this incredible power is truly used for good?
I mean, the speed at which AI is being adopted is just wild. Check out this number from the latest Stanford AI Index. A whopping 78% of organizations are already using AI. That is a massive jump from just 55% the year before. This isn't a slow burn, it's a full-on explosion.
And you can see this happening in real time. This isn't some abstract concept anymore. It's in the very fabric of our lives. Take healthcare. Back in 2015, the FDA approved only 6 medical devices that used AI. Now, fast forward to 2023, and that number shot up to 223. This tech is now involved in critical, sometimes life or death decisions, and that is a trend that's only going up.
And that really brings us to the heart of what we're talking about today. With all this incredible power and speed, where are the guardrails? What happens when these systems, which we are relying on more and more, make a mistake? Or even worse, what if they learn from and amplify our own worst biases?
And this isn't a hypothetical. It's already happened. Take Amazon. They tried to build an AI tool to help with recruiting. The idea was simple: automate sifting through resumes to find the top talent. The problem, it was trained on 10 years of their own hiring data, which was overwhelmingly for men. The result was that the AI literally taught itself that male candidates were better, and it started penalizing resumes that had the word women's in them. Yeah, Amazon had to scrap the whole thing.
And believe it or not, the stakes get even higher when you look at the justice system. A system called Compass was used in American courts to predict how likely a defendant was to commit another crime. But an investigation found it was incredibly biased. It was falsely flagging Black defendants as high risk at nearly double the rate of white defendants. This is a perfect and frankly terrifying example of how flawed data can lead to deeply discriminatory outcomes with real, life-altering consequences for people.
So, how in the world do we fix this? Well, the solution is being built in layers, kind of like a governance stack for technology. And it all starts at the very top, with Layer 1, crafting a high-level global moral compass, a shared set of principles that basically everyone on the planet can agree on. A major player in this space is the OECD. That's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They're working to bring countries together to create a common framework. Their goal is right there on the screen: to promote responsible stewardship of trustworthy AI while making sure it respects human rights and democratic values. So what does all that actually mean? Well, you can think of the OECD's AI principles as a kind of North Star. These aren't laws you can be arrested for breaking. They're foundational ideas that guide everyone, from governments to private companies. They're all about aiming for AI that builds trust, is managed responsibly, and above all, respects human rights. It's really about getting everyone to agree on what good AI should even look like. Okay, a North Star is great, but principles are one thing. You can't exactly enforce a star, right? So how do you turn those big aspirational ideas into concrete, enforceable rules? Well, that brings us to the second layer of our governance stack, the law. And one of the most important tools emerging right now is something called a Human Rights Impact Assessment, or an HRIA. The easiest way to think about it is like an environmental impact study, but instead of the environment, it's for human rights. Before a powerful new AI system gets rolled out, this process forces the creators to stop and systematically think through all the potential ways it could harm people. And this is why HRIs are so brilliant. They're not just another form to fill out. They force developers to actually pause and reflect on the consequences of their work. They create a paper trail, a formal record of potential risks for regulators and the public to see. And, crucially, they provide a way to bring in the voices of the communities that are actually going to be affected. It's about making human rights by design a real thing. And get this isn't just some academic's good idea. It is actively becoming law. The European Union's landmark AI Act, which is really one of the first major AI rulebooks in the world, now explicitly requires one of these impact assessments for any system they classify as high risk. That means if you want to do business in the EU, you have to do this work. So, we've gone from the 30,000-foot view of global principles down to national laws. Now let's get right down to the ground level, to the third and most practical layer, the company playbook. How does an organization actually build this stuff responsibly, day in and day out? Well, it all starts with having a plan. The data privacy company OneTrust puts it really simply. An AI governance framework is a necessity. You can't just cross your fingers and hope for ethical outcomes. You have to build a system, a process, to actually achieve them. And what's really important to get here is that this isn't some kind of mystical, secret process. It starts with something incredibly concrete, a data mapping exercise. You just have to ask some basic questions. What AI are we even using? Where is the data that feeds it coming from? And what decisions are we making based on its output? It's all about making the invisible processes visible so you can actually manage them. But a good company playbook isn't just about the tech. It's about the people. And what's absolutely fascinating is that different groups have totally different fears about AI. A recent report on AI in education found that students' biggest worry is being falsely accused of plagiarism. But for educators, their top concern is actual plagiarism. And what about the institutional leaders? Their number one concern is the broader ethical implications of it all. A good plan has to listen to and address all these different human perspectives.
So we've gone from global principles to national laws, all the way down to corporate playbooks. This entire governance stack we've been talking about, it all leads to one final and really essential question.
So let's just quickly recap how this all fits together. The global principles, layer 1, that's the why. The national laws and impact assessments, layer 2, that's the what you actually have to do. And the company's internal practices, layer 3, that's the how. It's an interconnected system and it's all designed for accountability. But after all these layers, all the governance, the principles, the assessments, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Can we ever really program a moral code into a machine? Or is that just shifting the focus away from where the real accountability has to be, with the people and the organizations who design, build, and deploy these incredibly powerful tools? The technology is new, but the responsibility ultimately is still human.